and we can get the mission statement going.
Okay.
Okay, welcome everyone. This presentation is going to be all about a little bit of self-care and taking care of yourself and getting things done. We're going to be turning it over to Joelle, and she's got some panelists who will be helping her with the presentation. Before we get started,
I use they pronouns.
Oh, I'm
James.
sorry. They will be getting, yes, I
Thanks.
always get that wrong, but we'll get it right here.
You get it right. I believe in you.
All right. So the mission for Start Out. So we just have a short intro here, and then I will turn it over to Joelle. Our mission for Start Out is really to accelerate the growth of the LGBTQ plus community and drive economic empowerment, building a world where every LGBTQ plus entrepreneur has equal access to lead, succeed, and shape the workforce of the future. If we go to our next slide, we do have quite a few different sponsors. But our reach for Start Out is basically Start Out is the world's largest organization supporting LGBTQ plus entrepreneurs. It currently has a growth lab with over 56 graduated companies, and it's raised over 756 million in funding and created over 3,650 new jobs. There are over 300 mentors in the Start Out networking capability and their list. There are experts in fundraising, marketing, PR, company growth, one-on-one sessions. There's over 300 investors. You can make countless connections on network with a Q ending in a Q network and forum. And there's 50 plus community events per year. And of course, millions of social media impressions as well. If we go to the next slide, we can see some of the supporters. We know you have a choice when you're looking for various service companies to help you out with your company and other aspects of getting through life and investing and founding your company. And here's just a list of the various sponsors and supporters for the Start Out organization. So if you would, we would like you obviously to patronize these various people and make sure that you're making good use of them. They also offer specials for people that are part of the Start Out organization, part of the Start Out membership. So make sure you mention that if you do contact any of these organizations and let them know that you are a member of Start Out and see what kinds of specials they have for you. So with that, we will go ahead and turn it over to Joelle.
Hey, that's me. Thanks so much, James. And just to speak to my own experience with Start Out a little bit, I am a mentor with Start Out. I'm meeting with my mentee tomorrow, and it has just been such an amazing experience. And there's just so much that Start Out does that is really amazing of creating the space for queer entrepreneurs. And it is so awesome to be here. Anyway, enough about Start Out. Let me talk about me now. Hey, I'm Joelle. I use they, them pronouns, and I am the founder of Butch Yoga, my own LGBTQ business focused on life coaching and like everything that entails of really, I feel like at the core, it's like about believing in like the possibility for our futures and how we can move towards that. So that's a little about me. And let's move on to our panelists who I'm so excited to connect with. We have Coach D is going to be coming a little bit later and very excited for her to arrive. But right now we have Kayla Lacey, who is a yoga psychotherapist certified in both of those areas, double whammy, really bringing full care to people and specifically to communities of color that have been underserved in these areas. So thanks so much for being here, Kayla. Really excited to hear more from you. And Cara, who I have had the joy of getting to work with a little bit in supporting me as a queer entrepreneur. And she is just awesome at really, I would say, cutting through what's not necessary and getting to what's more essential in many aspects in business and also with a lot in life, which is so important for self-care. So with that, thanks y'all for being here. Oh, and Kayla uses she they pronouns and Carrie uses she her. And I recommend finding everybody on Instagram and following them. I put the Instagram handles there because everybody here has just a really cool social media presence. Oh, I forgot to put mine though. Mine is Butch Yoga if you want to follow me on Instagram too. All right. Well, now that we have done introductions, we're gonna get into it of our topic here today, which is all about self-care, and especially, which can seem like just such a fluffy kind of thing, but especially in this historical moment that we're in that can feel so chaotic. We need it even more. We need the space for grounding and for really like filling our own cups when it feels like just so much that's going on in the world can be draining us. So that's going to be our first topic that we're going to get into here, which we have is mindset in the midst of mayhem. So specifically, as we kick this conversation off, I wanted to begin by talking about mindset, of how I feel that's such a foundation for the kinds of choices that we make, not only in the world, but like for ourselves and how that does extend out into the world. So I'd like to open it up here and yeah, invite uh, either Cara or Kayla to jump in if anybody feels
Joelle,
ready.
too. I'm here too. Coach
Oh,
Daisy.
Coach D is here too.
I've been on here. I've been on here.
Coach D made it. Oh my gosh. It's my Zoom only shows like four little squares at a time. So sorry, I did not see you come in, but
Okay.
I'm so glad you made it. Hey. Oh my gosh, Coach D is here too. Yes. Okay. So with that, Coach D, you're already speaking up. Do you have some thoughts you want to share to kick us off?
Yeah, of course. We're talking about mindset in the midst of mayhem. I mean, we know how y'all doing. I hope everybody's doing well today. It's rainy here in Dallas, Texas. But you know, when we talk about mindset, with the work I do, I'm really about really getting to the inner child, that those feelings, those things that keeps us limited and afraid and fearful, really reprogramming our subconscious to really live out the things we want. And I think it's important to really cultivate a mindset that aligns us with, you know, our desires, our purpose, our business growth, all of that. It's a practice, but you know, for me, I know it's just being on this journey, being an entrepreneur, an influencer, someone who's built a beautiful brand. It's not easy work, you know. Building a business and a brand, it's a reflection of you and what you feel. It's gonna take you on a tough journey, but you'll find that you're stronger than you think. I don't know who needed that, but that's where I'm at right now. Ladies, would y'all like to tap in?
Yeah, I would add that your mindset's not always going to be positive, and that's okay. Making yourself feel guilty about a negative mindset isn't going to get you anywhere. It's usually going to be passing. So there's so much out there being like, master your mindset, master your mindset. There's a lot of coaches out there who preach that. And it's exactly toxic positivity. Thank you, Dee. It is toxic. That's exactly the word. You're going to feel worse if you try to always be positive. It's never going to catapult you forward. Where if you're in a negative mindset, sit in it, just be in it. You don't have to work in that moment. You don't have to be productive. I always say rest is productive. And that is a way to move forward, is just sitting in the negative mindset and letting yourself be negative, write down the negative thoughts. You're going to move past it. Just go to sleep and wake up tomorrow and you might feel differently.
Love what everybody is saying. And what comes up for me is thinking about, in both mindset and self-care, which we're talking about today, of even reframing how we think about care as not just this fluffy thing. But one of my favorite quotes from Audre Lorde is, care is not self-indulgence, it is self-preservation, and that is an act of political warfare. And so I think thinking about the importance and significance of us, especially queer folks of color, of what it means to listen to ourselves, take care of ourselves, take care of our communities, be connected with our communities, is actually a really powerful and important mindset to have in the midst of mayhem, because the only way that we could see the other side of mayhem is to get through it, and we can't get through it alone. And so adding that with what everybody has said so far, just thinking about the intention of what we're doing in our day-to-day, whether that's our self-care, whether that's your business strategy and your mission and motivation, all of that is important right now. Definitely.
I agree. Yeah, I'm actually in this energy of self-care right now. I do these things where I do inner child dates with myself. It helps me tap out of like just business mode and always trying to do things, and really just tap into play and creativity and just feeling free, you know? And I'm in that space right now where I'm just like, I want to just tap into that and just love on my inner for a moment without feeling like I have these pressures to do things, you know? So I just wanted to share that. Thank y'all for y'all's input. I appreciate it.
Yes. Oh my God. Thank you, everyone. I love how,
because it just got me thinking of one more thing that I think is so important. Of healing justice in general is thinking about our care in relationship to movements, so that our wellness is a political strategy. You know what I mean? So I love date with your inner child, and just thinking about how important it is to have moments of levity so we can actually be present with the heaviness that is going on. So sorry to cut you off, Joelle, but
no, that's so okay. Please, please. Everybody, please feel free to interrupt me if you get that like pressing thought to share. Like that is so welcome, so important. And I love that you named healing justice, Kayla, and thinking of that, because that keeping that bigger perspective, that our self-care, it might sound selfish, but it's not just for you. It's part of how we are able to show up to these larger movements that we're part of at every level. And the more that we're able to show up, we can't know the impact that that can have on others, and the way that just our presence can inspire others to keep going, to have a little more courage. So yeah, so important to fill our own cups, and in different ways that, you know, aren't just the like boring ways, but also doing the inner child play. Like I got my little like Lego spaceships here on my desk to keep me connected with that, and just whatever it is that helps you, yeah, feel that sense of connection to your joy. It's so important. They want to take that from us, but like we cannot let them. All right. Before we move on to the next topic, which I want to do, I recognize that I was not aware that Coach D was here before, and we did not give her a proper intro. I want to make sure to do that. Oh no, hang on. Oh gosh. Now I closed the window. Hang on. Now
Yeah,
I need to
you can
find it
share your
again.
screen again.
Just one moment. That's what I get for trying to go back, right? No, I can do it. I'm like lesbians who tech. Let's go. We can do this.
I do the same thing. Don't feel bad. Too many
We all
tabs.
do it. It's, you know what? This is part of how I practice my self-care, is being really patient with myself through all the tech stuff. Being like,
There we
it's
go.
okay. Hey, we got it. And we can go back to the wonderful Coach D, who also deserves to be named in all of her amazing roles and work as a coach, author of 3 books. Is it 3 books? Or are we at 4? For the three books, powerful books, a speaker, MC, um, other titles as well. I know, like co-owner of like a salon, queer salon. Coach, she has a lot going on, and also founder of Dee'Tox Coaching Services. So yeah, just really wanted to make sure to name what Coach D is doing here. Thank you for being here.
Joelle, we do have a question. I
Oh,
don't know
there's
if
a
you
question.
want to
Okay.
entertain questions in the middle, or you want to leave them at the end.
I was planning on having time at the end, but I would love to
Okay.
if
Well,
it came
actually,
up now.
yeah,
Well,
on
what's the question now? Yeah.
the chat dialogue, it's Sky asking, what is something you've learned in your journey to wellness and well-being that you wish more people considered or would prioritize?
It's a great question. Thank you, Sky, for that question of like maybe something that doesn't seem so obvious, but like what's the let me see the question here. All right. What is something you've learned in your journey to wellness and well-being that you wish more people considered or would prioritize? Do any of our panelists have any initial responses here? I see Coach D in the chat, but yeah, if you want to expand on that, or anybody wants to jump in there.
Yeah, I'll expand on it. I know for me, when I say choosing myself, it took me really understanding what I needed, which, you know, a lot of that was through therapy, learning healthy boundaries with other people and also with myself, but learning to really choose myself in all aspects of things. Not always agreeing, saying no, not always saying, you know, yes, but also just giving myself that grace to know what I need. I used to really struggle with people pleasing, and I know that was rooted in a lot of my childhood trauma of needing validation, needing acceptance and approval. And so the more I did the more I've been on this self-love journey of healing and reparenting my inner child, I'm learning like what I actually need and how to express myself. Tapping into yoga. I actually love yoga. I love taking care of myself physically, mentally. I believe in all aspects of the mind, body, and soul, just really learning you. But it took me choosing myself and putting boundaries up to give myself what I needed in order to really start being intentional with my wellness journey. My well-being had to start with me identifying that I needed me. So, and no is a whole sentence, by the way.
Woo! Oh my God. Thank you, Coach D. And we are going to have a section where we're going to focus in even more on boundaries in this conversation. So yeah, we can get deeper in there. Cara, I see you came off mute.
I
You
could
ready with some
piggyback off of
thoughts?
that. Or we could keep going, and maybe what I was going to say will come up later. So up to you.
Okay. What have you got? Let's go.
Sure. So in addition to choosing yourself, I think it's really important to acknowledge that things that work for other people aren't always going to work for you, or the way that you think things work aren't necessarily the only way to do them. For example, people say, have you tried meditation? Meditation doesn't have to be sitting in silence with your eyes closed. It could be staring at a flame, for example, or choosing something to just focus on. Meditation could be drawing. It could be a lot of things. There's a lot of different kinds of therapies as well. You know, there's talk therapy, and then there's rapid eye movement therapy. There's hypnosis. There's a lot of different kinds of therapies. So just because you tried it once, it might not be the thing that works for you. And don't give up trying things until you find the thing that works for you. I've tried, I don't even know, I've been to like 8 different therapists in my life, and some of them have been great and some of them have just been awful. And if I had the awful ones first, I may not have done therapy again. So if you've been to therapy and you thought it didn't work for you, I would say try again and find someone who you really, really align with. Yeah.
Thank you, Cara. Kayla?
I mean, Cara and Coach D are preaching in here. So the only thing that I'll just tack on that I also find myself letting folks know very often is that the journey of healing is a journey. There is no destination. There is no, you've checked off all the things, you've discussed all the stuff in therapy, and now you're healed. And it's also non-linear. So it is natural, normal, human to have seasons where we're really in our bag on top of stuff. It's human to have seasons, days, moments where it feels like I'm starting at square two. But the truth is that you're not. We just have moments that feel hard, and that is a part of the experience of being human and learning more about ourselves each time we find ourselves in the ebbs and in the flows. But definitely also what Cara and Coach D were saying of like, you are the person who actually knows you best and who has the answers of what is going to be most helpful for your wellness, for your healing, for your journey. So, yep.
Yes, thank you. Took some of the words out of my mouth. I was going to add a little onto the question and just say, the thing I wish more people considered in your journey to wellness is it doesn't end. It keeps going. There's no there and you're like, I am well now and now I'm done. No, it's it just keeps going. So speaking of keeping going, let's keep going on these slides here with the next topic that we have. Let's see, which here we are moving on to setting better boundaries for yourself. And I said for yourself, but I also mean with yourself too, which I think is something that does not get talked about as much. We talk about boundaries with other people, but especially as queer entrepreneurs, your work doesn't stay in the office. Maybe your office is in your living room. So setting boundaries for yourself around what you need, and around when to stop, which I think can be a challenge for so many of us. I know it can be for me. So I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts on this topic.
I'll jump in. One of the things that I think can be helpful in practicing setting boundaries with yourself, with other people, is to start small. Just start with little ways that feel maybe less risky for you to try. And then that can be amped up into practicing boundary setting in other ways that might feel really scary or even impossible when you're just getting started. But the truth is that ultimately, for whatever might be motivating you to ignore or push past your boundaries, people pleasing is kind of a general umbrella. It's not a sustainable strategy. It's not gonna feel good. It's not going to even serve the relationships with other people, let alone the relationship with yourself. And so practice. And when you feel like you've kind of overstepped your boundary or didn't communicate it in the right way, you try it again and continue to build from there.
Oh, thank you for that. Yes, yes.
I love that.
Starting small is such a good way. It's like building muscle. You don't start with, you don't walk into the gym and pick up the heaviest weight in there. No, you start smaller. You build up that strength within yourself, because it is a kind of will that you need to build within yourself.
I think another really important thing, and it's a really, really hard thing to do, is being totally honest with yourself. I think sometimes we're like, I'm okay with that, whatever that is, I'm okay with it, I feel good about it. But then you really take a second and all of a sudden, like, your heartbeat is racing, you feel hot, you don't know what's going on, and you're like, wait a second, I'm not actually okay with what this client asked of me, I'm not okay with what my mom just asked of me, whatever it is. And it's a brave thing to do, I think, to say, you know what, I'm not okay with this, I don't want to people please right now, and then to sometimes go back on what you had originally said you were okay with as well. But if you could, before you get to the point of agreeing to things that you don't want to agree to, like, really check in with yourself to see if it is something you want to do or not. Yeah.
Y'all are hitting on those boundaries. It's real though. Like I feel that. Like I can agree with both of you. Like especially when you find your voice and you start speaking up for yourself as you're being real with yourself, that's it's so much power in that. Because the more I felt like I was getting my voice and I was speaking my truth that I was once afraid to speak, like then I realized people respond to you differently when you have that level of bravery and confidence. Like you're speaking up for yourself, you're saying it, and you're saying why, and you're standing on that. It's a whole different type of energy and boundaries you create. It's almost like people know how we teach people how to treat us, right? So I think for me, it's been like really building on my confidence, my self-love, and expressing myself, and just knowing, like y'all said, just everything y'all said, but just boundaries they are a must for others and for us, and I think the more we find them to be more harmonized and healthy, we flow through it. I think Kayla said it earlier, like the whole ebb and flow, we figure that out. But yeah, that's the tough part for a lot of people is boundaries.
Yeah, I think also to kind of go off what you're saying is it is brave. It really is brave to set your boundaries. And because some people don't view it as brave, they view it as maybe bitche, kind of say what you want. You might need to be prepared to lose some people in your life because they're using you. And if you set those boundaries, they're not getting the same things. You're not people pleasing anymore. But on the other side of that, I also find that there's it's not toxic positivity. It's kind of the opposite of it, where people are saying, you don't owe anybody anything, but that's not true. You do owe people things. That's different than boundaries. And I think that's also an important thing. The amount of times I hear, you don't owe anybody anything. If you don't want to go out to dinner that you've planned with a friend a month ago, you shouldn't have to go. That's not true. You're still a part of a community. That's different than boundary setting. Setting a boundary might look more like, I have been very low energy, I'm going to commit to dinner with you. But just so you know, I'm not able to do other things this week. And like, if you do cancel on me, know that I've set aside all of this time so that I have the spoons to have dinner with you this week. And then if they cancel on you, you've set those boundaries, but you did everything you needed to do to show up for that person. And it is not a boundary for you to give no context and just cancel on that person the night of, if you haven't given any context ahead of time.
I love that example. I think that's so powerful because boundaries have become this word that people throw around without it meaning anything too specific, that they're just so to really get clear about what that means, that it's describing how you're going to act based on how other people choose to show up. And I also loved what you said, Cara, about earlier you were naming some of the bodily sensations that can come up for us when we know that something is not right for us. And practicing listening to that, listening to those messages. And like Kayla was saying, start small with responding to them, of just like noticing what are the messages you get in your body. Earlier, not to get too personal, but I was talking to my sister and she was talking about like a visit she had with her parents, and I could feel in myself this like, no, now is not the moment to talk about this. And I said that to her. And it felt like such a powerful moment for me of like recognizing, oh, I had this feeling, oh, this doesn't feel right for me. And then saying that, hey, I don't have the capacity to talk about this right now. And she received it so well. She's pretty tuned in too, you know, she's good. But yeah, that felt like an important moment. And oh, something Coach D said that I just want to add another little level there about how we treat others how to teach us. I think it was
Teach others how to treat us. Yes.
yes. I think we also teach ourselves how to treat ourselves, that we set those kinds of patterns for ourselves of what do you want the standard to be of how you treat yourself, and like what does that look like in so many ways of how you're talking to yourself, what kinds of choices you're making at so many different levels of what self-care looks like for you. From what Cara was naming about knowing if the therapist is a good fit for you, like feeling into that. So, oh my God. This is awesome, y'all. Love where this is going. And you can see stuff is happening in the chat too. Yes, yes. All right. And let's keep it moving here to next topic, which I think this to me felt like the continuation from, you know, talking about boundaries. This is part of why. It's like you set the boundaries so that you can create conditions that are better for you in terms of managing stress and also prioritizing pleasure, which I think does not get talked about as much in the entrepreneurial communities usually, but is so important to bring in. And I would love to hear some of y'all's thoughts on why that matters and how to do it, how to do that for yourself.
Pleasure can be many things. I am also a masculine identifying erotic dancer. So for me, it's been fun. It's fun. It taps into that part of me. Like I said, pleasure can go in so many different ways. But I'm just giving you this example of like when I'm in that element and I'm having fun in that way, and it's joyous. It brings out like another part of me. It's fun. It's like a more fantasy. It takes me away from actually work anyway, like focusing on work and building, and it just puts me in a more pleasurable fantasy type of mood, and I have a good time with it. Being able to like be brave and courageous to express myself in that way, especially in a world that we live in now where things are so taboo. Our sexual health or our sexuality is so taboo. People don't want to talk about certain things with that. But for me, tapping into that part of you is very powerful, you know, and it's enlightening. And it's also a huge part of our creativity. You know, that's a whole different topic, but it brings me joy to just dance and feel free. It's very liberating for me.
It brings me joy to see the pictures and videos you post, Coach D, of your dancing also. Just saying that, you know, it spreads out when we fill our own cup. It spreads out. To think of how many people you're inspiring through your expression, how that's part of it, of showing people that it's possible to feel good. It's possible to feel good as queer people in the world today. That is such an important reminder to live that through ourselves. Thank you. Thank you for that example. I love it.
No problem.
And for anyone who's here who needs the reminder, there are so many studies out there, peer-reviewed studies that connect stress to health problems, like actual health problems, all sorts of things, heart attacks, stroke, migraine. so many things that are going to prohibit you from doing the work that you love doing. So it is really important to prioritize pleasure and reducing stress. If you're working 24/7 and you're not taking any time for yourself, there's a good chance you're going to drop dead in your 40s, even if you're as healthy as can be, or you think you're as healthy as can be, because you're stressed. And that's just the truth. It's the hard truth. Sorry.
Stresses me out just hearing that, though.
Sorry. But you're good about managing your stress. No?
No, for sure. Yeah, no, I'd say in general, doing what I can. And like, well, how do I do that? I would say I build in a lot of time for myself around what I do. Slowing down so much has been key. Like sometimes just like literally, like I will catch myself like kind of like zipping around and I will start walking slower and just doing things more slowly to soothe my nervous system. But yeah, that's like the managing stress side. Um I'd love to hear from Kayla your thoughts on this piece.
Yes, yes. Y'all, when I tell you, actually, my whole business strategy is built around prioritizing pleasure and managing stress. It is the reason that I work for myself. As a therapist, burnout is like expected. Like you come into grad school and they're like, yeah, there's going to come a point where you just collapse from the weight of this, and that's just the way it is. And I remember thinking to myself, not if I have something to do with it. And so I really like to think about care as a way of being, which I had a whole spiel on last year. Follow at The Well Healing if you want more on that. But to think about how we can actually live our lives in a way that care is not something that comes at the end of the day of working real hard or as a reward to yourself, but to actually integrate it into how we are approaching our livelihood. And so for me, for example, that meant I want to go into private practice because that means I get to have control over my time, over the clients who I get to see. I get to build the day in a way that actually honors the way that I work. So thinking about just how to live a life that is valuing that, which I think is something to think about too, in terms of what are our values, what is most important to you that you might be prioritizing over taking care of yourself or managing stress. And so I recognize there's a level of privilege in me being able to make some of these choices. I went to grad school. I was able to, finesse in these ways. But it also wasn't easy. Mind you, I'm still a Black queer woman who's making this happen in a career field that isn't meant for me to be in here and thriving. And so that's what I would say. I would ask us to practice self-awareness about what are the needs of your body and how can that be actually interwoven into your day? What is the needs of your mental health, your emotional health, and how can that actually be a part of your day-to-day instead of a last resort after you're depleted and now I really need to manage my stress and I really need to find some pleasure or else I'm going to snap. And so I like to really sort of ask us to think in a very radically different way than capitalism would have us think about where our care and pleasure gets prioritized. And so I'm all about like, do it your way, do it in a way that takes care of you, because this world, these businesses, they do not care if you drop dead tomorrow. So you have to be the one to protect and take care of you and honor you.
That part.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. And let me just say, Kayla's series on it was the Take Good Care series, right? I learned so much from that. I loved how you broke stuff down into just really clear and actionable pieces. Definitely recommend anyone checking that out on the Well Healing page. Just very transformative ways of thinking of how you relate to care. So, so, so important. Going so deep here. I love it. And let's I think yes, thank you for putting that in the chat. Go check that out on Instagram. Amazing, amazing resources. All right. So I think we have, is it one more? I think it's one more topic. Oh yeah, but it's a good one. It's the kind of like brings everything together here, which is supporting yourself to be your best self, which something that I find a lot. I know I find it in myself, and it seems like something a lot of other people deal with too, is we know the things we're supposed to do. We already know that we're supposed to, shut off our phone before bedtime and like, not be looking at the screen and get enough sleep and be eating vegetables and all of that stuff. We know the things we're supposed to do. How do we get ourselves to do them? Actually, how do we make that happen? We know we're supposed to set boundaries around work and not just be working all the time. How to implement that? How do we actually get to the place where we're making these choices for ourselves that we know are going to support us to be our best self?
I always say make accommodations, not excuses. If you think you're not able to do something, or that doesn't work for me, that doesn't work for me, okay, then what will work for you and how will you be able to do that thing? So you have to look at yourself and how will you be able to eat vegetables? If you know you're supposed to do it and you're like, I don't like vegetables, okay, put them in sauce, blend them up into a creamy sauce, and now you'll be able to eat it, as just because you mentioned eating vegetables. So there's a way to do everything that will work for you. You just have to figure out what it is and do it.
Thank you, Cara. That's part of why I wanted to have you on this panel, because I love how you just get right to the point. Like, nope, there's no excuses. Like, what? No, just figure it out for yourself. Like, yeah, and that you're remembering that you're doing it for yourself.
Exactly.
I'm also a fan of like make things practical. So if it's like, oh, it's a hard thing for me to remember to do this, put a reminder on that phone, write it down in your planner or wherever is like the thing that you need to keep this intention front of mind. Have an accountability partner, call the homegirl, call the homie and be like, hey, every Thursday I'm going to do this thing. Can you hit me up on Friday and make sure that I did the thing? So just thinking practically about what is the support that is going to help you make something into a habit, because if it was easy, you would have done it already. So what are the accommodations, as Cara said, that need to happen in order to make it more into a natural thing that you're doing? But yeah, it's really easy to think about it and then forget about it when it's not happening. So sometimes it's helpful to just have the anchors throughout your day that can bring you back to a new intention, a new habit, whatever you're trying to do to really keep yourself together. And to, yeah, make a note, write the stuff down, pay attention when there's something that feels really helpful to you so that you can have these things in your back pocket and ready to go when you need it.
Thank you. Yes. Yes. Oh my God. So much good stuff. Thank you. Like such important reminders. I'm making notes for myself here, by the way, as we're going through this. Oh yeah. Coach D, love to hear any thoughts you have. I feel like you are such an icon at this. I feel like I look at your social media and I just see how you are living this.
Yeah, I'm just giving myself grace. I appreciate both of the panelists' responses. I mean, amazing. I think for me, it's just continuing to give myself grace, commit to myself, really give myself an opportunity to grieve and grow through things, permission to grieve and grow. I think a lot of times we're wanting to, I even say when we talk about healing, like sometimes I don't want to heal. Sometimes I just need to be in a space of just being and allowing myself to just be present in that. And I feel like that's a lot, that's healing within itself, because sometimes there can be a lot of pressure when we're always wanting to heal or be this and be that. But I find solace a lot of time in just being and allowing myself to surrender, surrendering to things that are unknown, surrendering to my faith of knowing that, hey, everything is working out. And even if this is a tough moment in my life, just knowing that, hey, I still have breath, this life force, and grace again as I grow and evolve. And that's been a valuable thing in me continuing the journey, committing to myself, because as I give myself more grace and love and just allow myself to be all the things that I feel like I didn't get as a child that I'm reparenting and healing from now, it gives me that my purpose is my passion, and it just makes me want to continue to show up and support myself and others. So yeah, that's my answer. But I appreciate, like, on top of what I said, what we all said, because it's a collective, like, beautiful energy and synergy of what we're needing to really support ourselves to be our best selves.
Oh, yes, yes. So much wisdom coming through. So much wisdom. I think that part about grace is really, it connects back to the question from Sky in the beginning about like that the part about like the journey to wellness. It's like giving yourself the grace that you're never going to arrive there at like, okay, now I'm being my best self. And now that's I am that. But recognizing that it is more like this journey that you're never gonna get there, but it's like being on the journey that shapes you. And uh, one part that's really big for me that I want to share, which I think this goes just like hand in hand with the grace, is forgiving yourself. Forgiving yourself. Just, I am constantly forgiving myself all the time. I need it. And I think part of it um, is that thing that it can, like I was saying, we know the things we're supposed to do, and maybe they seem easy, but there are different like psychological levels of what can be going on. That's something that could seem simple, that we have different blocks around it. And so to be patient with yourself, even if something seems like you should be able to do that. And look for what are the ways you can support yourself to start moving in that direction. Starting small, not expecting yourself to, again, walk into the gym and pick up the heaviest weight there, but just starting to build those muscles in different ways that that feel like you can start building some momentum. I think that's part of what can help us to, I know it helps me feel like I'm on the path to being my best self when I see myself taking action. That helps to shift things. So I would say, yeah, starting small and forgiving yourself even when you like mess up on the small things. That like that's okay too. That's also just part of the process. I've seen it in myself and woo, so many people I work with. And but you keep going. We keep getting that momentum. Ah,
And
all
Joanne,
right.
kind of just want to add on to the back of that. I almost like want to put an asterisk behind best self, because your best self is going to look different day to day, season to season. And so even if in our metaphor, you are like on it, you're going to the gym every day, even if yesterday you could lift 500 pounds, there might be something happening today where my best is 300, and that is still my best and worthy of acknowledgement and all that good stuff too. And so I also want to, again, I guess I keep coming back to the ebb and flow, that it is a part of this experience for your best to look different every day. And that's when grace and forgiveness and self-compassion comes into play. So thank you for naming that.
Thank you for adding on to that. That also, it got me thinking of something else that I wanted to mention too. Also my cat wants to say hi. Hi everyone. About it's not a fixed thing. Nothing in nature just stays the same. Everything moves in cycles. We're queer. We love the moon. She's always changing. She's always changing. She is never just in the same phase. And we're like that too. Just always, always changing and accepting ourselves through that. Not thinking we should be different from how we are right now, I think is one of the most healing thoughts that that we can have. So, all right. See, we have a couple minutes left here. If there are any more questions from the audience, or if any of our wonderful panelists have just, aside from questions, if you have any more answers you want to share without questions, or if you have questions you want to share, you can put this both ways. Yeah, I have questions for the audience. Or yeah, if anybody has anything they want to ask. Well, hi everyone in the chat. I'll give a moment for questions. But if nobody has anything, I have a question. Got tons. Okay, I'm gonna say it. So was just mentioning about self-acceptance. I wanna go into that a little more with our last few minutes here, because I feel like that's such an important piece of self-care, that usually when I think of self-care, and I think in the like collective way that we think about it, it's things that we do. It's like different like actions that you take. What about, we talked about mindset a little bit already, but like self-care more as a kind of attitude or approach to yourself. Like, what do you think that can look like beyond like having the checklist of all the things on your morning routine or evening routine to do, which those can be wonderful, but like, yeah, want to get to the level of like being more than doing.
For me, it's similar to everything that I've already said. It's really being honest with myself and then making accommodations for myself when something feels off. To give like a really small example of this, I'm visiting my girlfriend right now in Mexico. I'm staying at her house, and I'm driving the car, and I have a really hard time parking the car when driving up the hill and turning left. But I noticed that if I was coming from the top of the hill and turning right, I didn't have as much of an issue parking the car in the driveway because it's just a tight spot. And I kept getting really upset with myself. Every time I went to turn left and park the car, I was turning too tight. I had to back out and turn in again. And I was panicking and getting angry. And I'm like, what? I have a solution. All I have to do is drive up the hill, turn around, and then I could come down and park on the right instead of turning it from the left. It takes me an extra 30 seconds to do it, maybe. I don't get mad. I feel so much calmer when I park. It's okay that I can't do it that way. I was getting so mad at myself for not being able to do it the way that I should be able to do it. And I was like, why is this stressing me out so much? There's another way to do this, and I could just do it that way instead. And that is, I do that in every aspect of my life, which, like with business, I'm like, why am I not able to market the way other people are marketing? Something's wrong with me. But I'm like, but wait, I did this thing and I signed a bunch of clients doing that. So why can't I just do it that way, even if it's not the right way or the way that everybody else is doing it? It doesn't matter. If it works for you and you're not hurting anybody in the way that it works for you, great, do it.
Thank you for that example. I love that. Just find what works without, drop the judgment.
I will say, I mean, care is an attitude and approach. Joelle, you already know you're talking, you're in my bag right now. Because I think that exactly, care is more than something we do. It can, again, be a way of being. And so I think what that can look like is almost like you could do an experiment in your day of like, if I approached every part of my day from a place of care, what would that look like? Does that mean that I would have made myself a to-go breakfast the night before, so when I get up, I actually have something nourishing to eat on my way to work? Or does that mean that I wear the clothes that give me gender euphoria? Or does that mean that I ask for help when I need it? Like, it can show up in all of these different ways. But one of the things that I think can be a almost useful, practical, like anchor point or question to maybe think about is like, what is or what are like the most compassionate choices available for me right now? And that can be in everything. It can be in how you brush your teeth. You can brush your teeth and say affirmations to yourself. Like, there's just so many expansive ways that we can think about our care. And even if we don't change anything, sometimes, again, to come back to mindset, it can be thinking about, oh, when I am taking this shower, it's not only me like scrubbing off the funk from outside, but it's also me being present with myself, touching myself, noticing how I'm feeling in this moment. So I actually think even without changing any part of your day, having thoughtfulness around what does care, what does compassion, what does, even if it resonates, self-love, like look like even in this action, can totally like open up how we experience our day, because there are actually careful, like FULL choices that we can make all throughout our day, even if you don't change anything in your usual routine.
I love that.
I love all of that. Listen, I enjoy my slow mornings. Number one, I've that's the freedom of definitely working for yourself. I have to have a slow morning. I've even adjusted it on my calendar. I don't take certain meetings to after a certain time. And I used to have that kind of boundary. I was starting real early or working real late. And I'm like, no, this is how I'm gonna start now. But allowing myself like to be in the flow too. Like I like to be in the flow and just feel what I'm feeling, intuitively. Of course I plan things, but sometimes things aren't always go according to plan. And that's okay. Just being able to be in the flow of things and feel what I'm feeling and not denying myself. If I'm having some feelings come up where I'm not feeling so good or something happened, allowing myself to feel that. If I feel anger, allowing myself to feel that. If I feel joyous, allowing myself to feel that. If I feel like, hey, something is off, let me find out what that is. But I think when we deny our emotions, that's where a lot of our stress and just maladaptive behaviors come from, because we're not allowing ourselves to feel these things. So yeah. And there's times I'm feeling really good. I'm like, you know what? You're right. I do my affirmations while brushing my teeth or singing loud in the shower. If that's what I feel in that moment, that's what I'm going to do, because that's bringing me care. It makes me feel good in that moment. If telling somebody how I feel because they need to know this, and somebody else is doing them a disservice by not telling them the truth, it's going to make me feel good. I do that too, because I'm not holding those emotions in. So I think it's just me just allowing myself to be, moving with compassion, moving with gratitude, but also honoring where I am and what I'm feeling, and not feeling so pressured by society like I used to, which is helping me live more in my truth authentically and unapologetically, like really giving no fucks. If I could say that, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you could say whatever you want, Coach D. That's you're here for it. Thank you. Oh my God. Thank you all so much for everything you said, all the words. It has been really such an inspiring session. I love how the messages have come to, it's not about waking up at 5 a.m. and then you journal and you do this and this and this on all the, what the self-help books say to do, but being really true to yourself, finding what works for you and giving yourself grace along the way, connecting with your joy, with your pleasure, and starting small and keep going from there. Keep going, because it doesn't end. It will just keep going. So you have to keep going with it. But also give yourself breaks. If you're like, nope, I'm not going to keep going on it today, that's also okay. That is also part of it. Wow. Such powerful messages. Such powerful messages. Thank you all so much for being part of this panel. Thank you, Coach D, Kayla, Cara. It has been such a pleasure to be in this conversation together. And yeah, we are at the hour. So thank you everyone in the Start Out community who has come to be part of this session, sharing your energy. It's been awesome to see the comments in the chat. Thank you, James, for kicking us off. And with that, I think we'll wrap it up here. So thanks, y'all. I'm gonna.
Bye.
All right.